We are here. This is a show that brings on real experts and to discuss issues and topics that actually impact you. My name is Matt Patrick. I'm your host. I am definitely not an expert, but you should listen to the people that I have on because, well, they are. I'm excited to bring this show to you, and I'm extremely excited to have Darrin Patrick on here with me. Now, before we get into it with Darrin, if you're watching on Facebook Live, you can leave comments. We'll do our very best to get to those questions that you may have and answer them to the best of our ability. Again, I'm just reminding you, I'm not the expert, Darrin is. So all the weight it's going to fall on him here, which I'm totally cool with. I hope that's cool with you, Darrin. And then also, if you can help us out, if you're watching this at a later date on YouTube, hit the subscribe, turn on notifications. If you're watching on Instagram TV, like it, share it. If you're listening to it on a podcast, subscribe, all of that good stuff. That all helps out a bunch. If you could help me out with that, would greatly, greatly appreciate that. So with all of that said, let me give you a little introduction to Darrin. I had to type out your resume, bro. It's way too long and way too big and illustrious. But Darrin is my guest today. Darrin's teaching pastor at Seacoast Church. He's the founding pastor of the Journey Church, author of multiple books, including Dude's Guide to Marriage. Darrin's also the former chaplain to the St. Louis Cardinals. Won't hold that against you too much here today. He is the former vice president of Acts 29 Church Planning Network, has appeared in the New York Times, the Today Show, Fox and Friends, all this stuff. Most importantly, you're married to Amy. You got 4 kids. And so I've invited Darrin on here today to share some of his story. Let's just kind of have a good time, chat a bit, but also get into a little bit of the topic of the Enneagram, and particularly how to utilize it in a time of crisis. When you plural crisis, how do you say it, Darrin? You got a doctorate.
I just say crises.
Crises.
Right.
So let's make it singular. When we face this crisis, how's that? We'll stick with that.
Somebody in the comments, some English major, straighten us out.
Yeah, right. Help us out. We need all the help we can get, right, on this kind of stuff. So anyways, Darrin, it's good to have you, man. Thanks for taking the time to do this with me. It means a lot.
Absolutely. Should we say that we're not related that we know of before we start? Because this could be nepotism.
Yeah, that's a great question of whether or not we are related.
I don't really want to know.
Your family immigrated into Eastern Kentucky, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so did mine.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
We probably share the same blood.
That's awesome. I'll take it. I'll take it. Darrin, do you remember how we met, man? Do you remember? I mean, you're cooler. You meet way cooler people than me, so I don't expect you to remember me. But
probably some church planting thing, I would guess.
Now, you were coming out to Colorado for some conference at some mega church, and that you were speaking at, and you just needed somebody to pick you up from the airport. And I just emailed me out of the blue, and I was like, it was literally my day off. I think my wife was out of town, and I was like, I don't know, he's got the last name Patrick. That sounds cool. And I'll never forget, we went up to this conference, and this dude gave a talk on you know what I'm going to say, right? This is going to be unlike most of your other interviews. I'm going to warn you on that one. But the guy gave a talk on why having hobbies makes you a bad man kind of thing, and how you're lazy if you do that. And you got up and you said, I'm going golfing this weekend, so let me just set you free from some of that judgment that just came your way. And I was like, dude, I like this guy. We're going to get along just fine.
Wow. I do remember that. I thought we had met before that, but yeah, I do remember that. We won't name it.
Good time.
But yeah.
Yeah. How you guys hanging in there right now, man?
It's crazyville, dude. We got 5 levels of education going. My wife and I are basically doing some doctoral seminar stuff. We got a college student online. We got a high school student. We got a middle school and an elementary school. All that's happening in the Patrick Casa. So the bandwidth is struggling is all I'm going to say, because everybody's online. Everybody's doing Zoom. Everybody's trying to. So it's a little cray-cray right now. We are looking forward to our state reopening. Yeah, man.
Dude, that is crazy. Oh, man. So you're in St. Louis. Tell people a little bit about yourself. Where are you at? What's cool? Who are you a little bit? Fill me in on your job description.
Yeah.
So people know you. But.
Yeah. So I'm married to Amy, 27 years. We have 4 children, college age down to elementary school, as I said. And we I'm a teaching pastor and do some leadership stuff at a great church called Seacoast. And then I also lead a thing called Pastors Collective, where basically we help pastors avoid and recover from burnout.
Yeah.
My wife and I do a lot of training with the Enneagram with businesses and church staffs. And yeah, we love leaders, and we feel like for the most part, leaders a lot of times don't have a lot of older brothers and older sisters and moms and dads. And so depending on how old a leader is, we can be older brother, older sister, or mom and dad. That's kind of what we love. And so we do a lot of that kind of work. And so it's a joy to be able to do that with my wife.
That's good, man. That's good. I love that. You guys have been you guys have been a great influence on us. You've come out and served the church that I work at. One of the disclaimers on this is I'm not. People keep asking me, "Oh, is this a ministry?" Well, it's not. I've got some guests lined up. There's going to be some salty language on here and everything. So just a warning going forward with future stuff. But Darrin has impacted me. If you don't know me, I'm a pastor of a church, but I just love getting together with great leaders. And one of the reasons I entitled this, I've even got my $1 million graphics here. You ready for this? For this show, where basically, what I've been so blessed by, honestly, in my life is I've never been the guy that's ever been the smartest guy in the room. Like I'm wrapping up my master's degree right now. It's taken me like 8 years to do that. And I've never been the smartest guy in the room. I've never been the best leader in the room. I've never been the best at anything, but I've been really lucky and blessed to be around great leaders and great people and great thinkers. And it's what's really helped me, whether it's businesses I've started or churches I've worked in. And so you've been a big part of that. So good to have you on here, man. And thanks for taking the time. It really does mean a lot to me. So honored me big time in doing that. So Darrin, you have had a journey, bro, to today, to where you're at today, and lots of ups and lots of downs. And man, anything in there, just as like if somebody's just meeting you and they're going like, man, what makes Darrin Patrick tick? What makes him go? And what are the big things in your life that you're like, man, these are the important things that I've learned in this journey that I've had that I just really want to share with people. Would you mind dumping some knowledge on us there on some of that?
Absolutely. I just think number one, your relationship with God is your source and your sustenance. And when you get away from that, bad things happen. And so that's what happened to me. And part of my story is I really got away from my first love and kind of imploded my life a little over 4 years ago, and have been on a kind of a path of restoration and kind of really trying to figure out, okay, now what does life look like? But the other piece of it is I'm really cognizant of the fact that friendships really matter a lot more than we think. And so for me, having spiritual friendships, people who know my hopes, dreams, and fears, and people who like love me and are loved by me, celebrate and are celebrated by me, serve me and are served by me. That to me, and it's, we're going back to the core of Jesus's teachings, aren't we? Right? You love God, you love people. You're loved by God and you're loved by people. So that's really the core message. And I think a lot of times what keeps us from loving God and loving people are, obviously sins, but also wounds of when we've been sinned against. And a lot of our work, especially with the Enneagram, is around unearthing those and helping bring healing to those. Yeah, man,
that's good. Well, dude, I've appreciated, there's something, there's a weird thing in leadership culture, right? Where, I don't know, it's that fake it to make it. Like, I'm doing great. Like, you go to a conference, what's up, bro? And you're sitting there and you're high-fiving, like, how's your church going? And you lie about the size of it, or whether it's a business thing, everything's going great. And all the while your wife's like sitting in the hotel room and doesn't even want to come down and attend a session with you because she's so tired, And so one of the things I've appreciated about kind of your journey and your willingness is really to be open and share. And it was really formative for when we brought you out here and you worked with our team a little bit, just kind of the honesty that you had in that. So really appreciate all that, and thankful for your story. So let's dive into some Enneagram stuff. Let's have some fun with that. You down for some of that?
Let's do it.
Yeah, man. I've already gotten some Enneagram haters messaging me. It's okay. I love you. I get it. It's not for everybody. That's totally cool. But first off, why don't you just share with people in case they're not familiar? What is the Enneagram? What are we talking about when we say the Enneagram?
Yeah, it's an ancient tool, if you want to kind of classify it as a personality kind of grid that measures really your adaptive strategy that you've used to survive, starting with your family of origin and then through your life.
Yeah.
I like to say it like this. It's like, Matt, you probably had this happen. I just cracked my phone screen.
Oh, dude.
So, what happens to us is, and I don't know about you, but I'm going to wait until the last minute. And in other words, I don't want to immediately go and get a new phone. But I'll go get a new phone when I can't access certain parts of the screen.
Yeah.
Or I have to move the apps all into one corner. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the Enneagram. Your life has been broken into 9 pieces. And what happens is, you begin to access one side of the screen or one or two of those styles, and then you neglect the others, or you don't see the value in the others, and it causes relational problems in your life and moral problems. So really, the Enneagram is simply a tool to kind of show you your sins and your wounds so that you can do sniper sanctification and sniper counseling to get healthy.
Yeah. I like to use the word tool, right? Speak a little bit about that it's a tool. I think that's one of the pitfalls, right? Is when people don't treat it as a tool.
Yeah. I mean, it's all the rage right now. And I understand the haterade about it because it's like, geez, like everybody, it's like on par with like the Bible or other great works of literature. And it is great, but just, I'm certified Myers-Briggs and done a lot with Strength Finders and DISC, and like it's in that realm. The reason I like it, and I think it's so popular, it's so intuitive and the language is so accessible.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is when we take it and use those, as Christians, we want to use biblical categories with all tools. And I think what's happening with the Enneagram is it becomes the grid, it becomes the matrix, it becomes the categories we use for everything. And I think that's taking it too far.
Yeah, totally agree. That's one of the things that I've noticed when I talk to people when they go too far. And it's usually like, I would encourage you, if you're watching and you want to take the Enneagram, like pay for the good one. Like don't take like a BuzzFeed Enneagram. Those suck. They're not going to help you out a whole lot, right? Like go to CrossPoint's website. Like that's a good spot, right? Yeah. Where can people go take it if they want?
Yeah, if they go to CrossPoint Ministries, Matt, you and I have been greatly influenced by Rich and Jim and their wonderful ministry. Yeah, it's the Wagner personality, or there's a long name to it, but Joseph Wagner, one of the first guys. He was a psychotherapist that did clinical work with people for 40 years that went into the algorithm for that test. So it's not like research based and clinically connected like a Myers-Briggs.
Yeah.
No Enneagram test is, but this one is, I think, the closest that we get to that. So I think it's the best, and it measures different things too.
Yeah, totally agree. Go there and take it if you haven't. And then I'd say the other big part of this too, right, is get somebody that can help you read it. Yeah. Right. I mean, because it doesn't give you a ton of information when you get it. So how could somebody go about that? Do you have any tips on that? Like,
I mean, if you use the Wagner test, you can engage CrossPoint to help that. I mean, you can engage me. I love to help people do that. That's one of my things my wife and I do. And now with all the coronavirus stuff, we're doing a lot of stuff online with people, just walking you through your story, walking you through your results. And really, the power of the test is we do it where you tell your story right through your life.
For sure.
Nobody's a piece of paper, right? Nobody's a test result. And so you help connect those dots between how you score on the Enneagram with kind of your experiences in your life. And we have found it probably the most effective premarital counseling tool, postmarital counseling tool, spiritual healing, trauma healing tool from that really, because what it does is it helps you kind of counsel yourself in a lot of ways and helps you ask yourself some questions, or your spouse or the people that are close to you.
Yeah, for sure. It's been immensely helpful, I can say, in my marriage with my wife and I, and understanding what we are, and really understanding that the person is a combination of all 9 styles, right? But you have higher scores in areas where you tend to run to, particularly in times of distress and things like that. But knowing who I am as a 3 on the, just to give you perspective, Darrin, so you know kind of jerk you're dealing with here. I'm above 90 on my 3, 7, 8, and 4. So I'm just a hot mess. Jim Cofield said God had a little too much fun the day he made you, Matt, and made you deal with it. So that's how I've got to navigate that. But my wife being like this incredibly healthy too, and I'm like this non-resourceful dude. It's been very helpful in our marriage to kind of navigate that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive in a little bit into, everybody's stuck at home. We're sitting around, buttons being pushed. You just said you're like teaching nonstop classes from college all the way down to like middle school, right? So what are some things that you're actually utilizing, that you're using in your life right now, that you're pulling from the Enneagram that's helpful for you in this time? What's something people could take home with them today? They could watch this and go, yeah, maybe I could think through that in a new way and utilize.
Yeah. Great question. Well, for me, the efficiency, Matt, you and I have the same scores, except my 4 is not quite as high.
I got everything special, man. Special. Fancy.
Right. We are a unique snowflake.
I don't wait for the screen to, as soon as it cracks, I got to have the new one, unlike you.
So basically, for me, the 3, we've got the efficiency and the innovation. That's the entrepreneurial thing that I know you and I share, Matt. So I'm thinking of new ideas, new connections. So as I'm doing consulting, so this is fun for me, to innovate, to think what's next and how can we adapt. But then also it's been wonderful to tap into that 4 wing for me, because I really am a creative at heart. And that was not valued. I grew up in a rural community where it's like, if you're a man, you play sports. And so I'm co-captain of the baseball team, co-captain of the football team. I mean, I'm the sports guy. I'm 6'3" right now. And, I'm 230 pounds, solid muscle, not
solid.
Back in the day.
You should have worn a tank top to this, bro.
That's right. Awesome. You can't wear a tank top unless you have 18-inch arms. So that's the rule. Okay. But anyway,
if Chase Davis is watching that, he needs to know that.
Yeah, he does need to know that. That's a professional athlete rule, and so I've abided by it as I've worked with athletes. But anyway, the creativity piece has been really good for me to walk, enjoy nature, to dream, and so it's been super helpful. But as you think, if you know your Enneagram number, you can lean into it. Like if you're a 1, this is a time to maybe to influence the people around you with order, with structure. Sometimes, the biggest thing parents are dealing with is, when do I have them in school? When are they playing? Well, if you're a 1, you can help influence that. If you're a 2, you can meet a lot of practical needs in your family, maybe even in the community with, feeding people or just being in encouragements, whatever. And then if you're a 5, this is the time to do research, right? You can lean into that whole research thing. You're probably full of charts and graphs and helpful stuff. And maybe you can be a person that kind of informs people about what's going on. Not that we need more information about all this, or this is the time for you to reflect on that book that you wanted to write. If you're a 6, you're prepared for Corona. You've been preparing for this your whole life, right? You always go to the worst case scenario.
Oh yeah. Those are preppers, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
I would love to see a study on how many hardcore preppers are 6s. That would be a great doctoral work for somebody, right?
Well, Rich and Jim say, and it's been our experience too, that they think the vast majority of the population are 6s.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's true, but and then if 7s, we have a daughter who's a 7 that's always trying to get us to play family games. She's 10 years old. What are we going to do fun? So just leaning into that. If you're an 8, this is a time to maybe some fortitude to like, hey, we're going to get through this, giving vision about, hey, we're going to make it. It's hard. And if you're a 9, you know, there's drama in your family. I guarantee it. Because we're around each other so much. And you're great at bringing peace to situations. And so you're great at harmony. So I think you can lean into those strengths, but also, Matt, I don't know if you're asking this way, but you can also look at some of the downsides of your style and go, man, this is getting exposed. And so, man, this is where I need to do some personal work. Yeah.
No, that's really good. That's really good. And as we think through all of these different personality styles, it's fascinating too, because right, a crisis, what it does of any form generally, it presses on us, right, and it kind of squeezes out what's going on internally. And you know, me having a lot of that 3 and 7, I'm looking for the opportunity and stuff, and I'm going, this is the opportunity for a lot of people to really actually deal. And hopefully, I mean, maybe it's too much right now. I'm not a counselor by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, I think there's an opportunity there for people, especially if you know your Enneagram number, to really go to it and kind of go, man, what is God teaching me right now in this, and how can I utilize this to go, man, that non-resourceful side of who I am and what goes on there. I'm being invited by God to deal with that in the midst of this crisis. Do you think that's fair?
Absolutely. And I think another way to say it is crisis exposes us.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it shows us kind of our false strategies that we're using to, you know, really another way to think about your Enneagram. It's not who you are, your primary style. It's not really who you are. It's who you thought you needed to be.
Yeah. That's
good.
So
it kind of shows you kind of your false identities. It shows you your strategies to avoid God and people. And so all that stuff is like, I love the way you said that, Matt. It's an invitation, right? It's not a condemnation. It's an invitation.
Yeah, no, totally is. So since we're talking about that, one of the beauties of the Enneagram too is that, especially when you dive into it, I'm sitting here, dude, I mean, like, it's hilarious. This is my Enneagram book after Crosspoint for 4 years, right? I actually called it the Book of Secrets. That's the title on the front. I'm dead serious. Like, this is
the Book of Secrets.
You like that?
I love that.
I mean, if you want anything against Matt Patrick, you find this book, but you will not find this book. It's under lock and key. But anyways, enough about that. One of the beauties of it is that each number has kind of a way forward, right, in distress. And so for me, as a 3, I'll pick on myself, and I'd love for you to talk about any other numbers that you have insight into, Darrin. But as a 3 for me, my temptation is to be dishonest, right? It's to lie, and to do that. And so a way forward for me to grow is to be honest with my situation of what's going on around me, and honest with those that are near me, instead of just trying to make everything go all the time, right? Yeah. And so that's my way forward. And I think that can be a helpful thing for people in a time of crisis, right? Like, what's a good way forward for me when I find myself in distress?
Yeah, and like an 8, I've got a lot of 8, you know, so the way forward is mercy and vulnerability. You know, that there's an opportunity to, you know, be gracious where your temptation might be to be harsh, and also to be open when your temptation might be to be closed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a chance. You know, that's where I hope people are taking advantage of this. I mean, I've heard people say, "Oh man, we're gonna," like, and I've done it. Like, I've done business plans and I've got all kinds of ideas, and so I've worked on all that. But I hope people are taking this time as a gift. This really is a gift. Yeah. I know I say that knowing all the millions of people that are out of work. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a gift in this sense. It's a gift to kind of help us face our hurriedness, in our busyness, and our really just lack of intentionality. And I think that if we can like do some reflecting there, this could change. I think it could change the world. Like, I literally think the world could be changed because of a few people who say, you know what, I'm re-examining foundations and I'm going to live into something different, you know, now. So when all this is lifted, I'm different, and I'm gonna transform my little corner of the world.
Yeah, man. Hey, on Facebook, if you guys do have any questions, throw them out there. I'm terrified now because I see that Jim Cofield's actually watching.
Oh my God!
And he commented and said that he wants the Book of Secrets. My reply to him and that is that you wrote the Book of Secrets, not for me in my counseling. But yeah, man, I think there's a great opportunity, like you're saying. For me, I think through like right now in my life, I'm living pretty heavily in my 4 has been really prevalent in my story recently. And the way forward for the 4 is gratitude.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, oh yeah, I need to be reminded that like I'm still working and I have all of these things. So, but let's see, we got a question here. It says, how do you imagine a 1 on the Enneagram could receive this time as a gift?
Yeah. Well, I think really like, the 1 is trying to use their morality to, in a sense, they're trying to be a good person.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the downside. They're to be thought of as a bad person is death.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1s love to blame things, right? Yeah. So they love cause and effect. Well, this happened and then this happened, and so to kind of be able to go, hey man, this thing's out of my hands.
For sure.
Like, yeah, maybe somebody didn't handle something right in a lab in China, but this went crazy. And there's no one to blame. We have to deal with reality. I think the other thing with a 1 is to be able to go, okay, this loud inner critic that's in my head all the time.
Yeah.
Is always telling me I ought to do this. I should do that. This is the time to identify that voice and to go, I know what that voice, my wife has a lot of 1. She's a 9 with a 1 wing. She actually named her voice this librarian when she was little who would rebuke her for bringing books in late. My wife's a voracious reader. So she's 8 years old and the librarian's going, you're paying 15 cents in fines. Why can't you bring the books back? Her name was Amy Brown. So my wife has named that Amy Brown.
Calling her out.
So you could name your inner critic so that you know what that voice sounds. Not the voice of God. He's not. That's not kind. That's not how God talks to you. You could use this time literally to identify that voice and begin to go, wait a minute, that's not me. That's not God. That's Satan and my own crazy. And I'm not listening to that.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, man. That's good because I think, I liked the person who asked that said asking for a friend, as a good 1 would. You're right. Like, but the truth is, and so much of this and all of these, there's going to be tension points that push us and go forward. But I do love, if we can at some level get back to focusing on the opportunity that is at hand in all of this. And as you know, part of my other world is working in the restaurant industry. And I'm really blown away by how you're seeing restaurants and stuff. Even people don't love God all over the spectrum, right? Like going like, man, there's an opportunity for us here to take care of each other.
Yep.
And to do what we need to do to get through these things. And I'm hopeful for the church that we don't miss that opportunity, right? That the body of Christ doesn't miss that opportunity that's in front of us. And I think using a tool like the Enneagram to really press into ourselves a little bit more can actually help us along and even be a little bit aware. Like like a good example might be like, right, like you're standing in some ridiculous line outside of Target, 6 feet apart, wearing like full body armor and a mask, and somebody cuts line and people get mad. I saw this happen the other day, right? And it's like, I think the Enneagram, it equips you not just internally, but externally to go, what's going on with these people, right? Would you agree with that it helps you see other people for what they have going on and helps you respond to something that's ridiculous, like cutting line at Target, in a more helpful way? Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think, and that's the beauty of when you really get into the Enneagram. It's like, I look at the styles almost like glasses.
Okay.
And if I have prescription glasses, these aren't because I'm trying to be cool. Like I can't see without.
I don't believe you.
Promise. So another way is your primary style is your prescription.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you can't take on glasses from another style and see the world the way they see it. And so you're not going to see it as clearly as they see it. But I think one way to think about it is when you see people kind of in their crazy and missing out on being in their creative, you could go, oh man, like, oh, that's what's going on. They're like I really attune to the sixes right now. I have a daughter that's got a lot of six, and man, she's just worried like all the time. And so just being able to enter into her anxiety and fear, and instead of just going, it's going to be fine, and giving her a bunch of charts and graphs, which is my temptation, to go, no, honey, this is hard. So every night at dinner, we have to have those conversations and kind of enter in a little bit. And I think the more you know that, you can use multiple tools, but man, when you really, this one's pretty easy to get a grip on, as far as being able to like see some of the characteristics, I will say. And you begin to recognize in other people, it just gives you so much more compassion and grace, and even understanding in how to speak to them and help them kind of click out of some of that non-resourcefulness.
Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, that's good. It is interesting to take, and I think it's important, like, to know other styles, right? And know them and actually study them, especially your spouse or your children or people like that, but your staff, whatever that might be, because it actually equips you when you learn a little bit more about how they're working and what's going on inside of them. Because then you can kind of go, oh, that actually makes sense. Because usually we like to think that everybody else around us is crazy and we're right. Like, and so it equips us to be able to navigate those realities in a more helpful way.
Yeah, and anybody that's kind of getting started in this, you start with your own work, okay? So this tool is designed for you, and then it spills over to the people around you. If you try to go, I'm going to learn this thing for my spouse and straighten them out, or I'm going to learn this for my staff, and you're weaponizing it. That's not what you do with it. You do your work, and then it spills over. That's another thing that's happening with the Enneagram. Everybody, it starts labeling everybody. And then like, well, you're doing this because of this. Well, that's not loving. Like, this tool is meant to help you love God and others, not judge others in trying to get God's authority with that.
No, that's good, man. I can just cut it off right there and call everything good, because like, weaponized Enneagram is the worst, right? Like, and I don't know why I'm picking on people right now, because the show's called Don't Listen to Me, so you're only supposed to listen to Darrin, not me. Anyways, but man, it drives me nuts when somebody's like, yeah, I never took the Enneagram, but I'm totally this, and here's what I got to teach you about you. I'm like, dude, like, get out of here with that mess. So, man, that's good. Well, Darrin, when I get to the end of these, you're my first one, so I appreciate you being the first one on the show. I've got some cool. The fun thing is we got Jim Cofield from Crosspoint coming on Monday.
Okay.
And then we've got.
I'm glad I'm going before him. I'm the warm. I'm like, you know how you go to a concert and there's like 5 bands before the big band. I'm like the first band that everybody's like, why are they here? And then Jim's like I know, right? Jim's like Coldplay. I don't even know a big band anymore. I'm so out of touch. Like Cardi B. Is Cardi? I don't know who's. Yeah,
that's a great example. I love comparing Jim Cofield to Cardi B. That's gonna stick with me forever, right there. But yeah, so we've got Jim on Monday. We've got Brian Howard from Acts 29 on Tuesday, and then oh man, we've got a bunch of great stuff coming up, but it's been really fun. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm doing what any good millennial does, because I am a millennial. I'm Facebook stalking the trash out of whoever I interview before I do there, and I find something. I'm asking them to apply the topic to something interesting that I found on their Facebook page. And so you have a dog that seems to be a little crazy. Is that fair?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I would like you, as an Enneagram expert, to give us a breakdown on the Enneagram profile of your dog.
Well, he is definitely an 8 with a 7 wing. He's about 25 pounds soaking wet.
Okay.
But my buddy breeds these dogs. They're called Patterdale Terriers. And here's why they were bred. Think a pit bull only at 25 pounds. Okay. That's what he looks like. He's a big ball of muscle.
Okay.
He can jump flat-footed, and well, not flat-footed into my arms. And if he got to run, he could probably go over my head. He tore his ACL, believe it or not. So he's struggling.
Oh,
The
man.
most athletic, but they breed these things to hunt foxes, badgers, groundhogs. And we had another one for 16 years and he died, and we got this one. This guy, he's insane. I don't know how the vet thinks he's got like mental illness. We need to break that down. But he is so dominant. He's afraid of nothing at all. And he just wants to have fun, and he just wants you to pet him. And so he's a total 8 with a 7 wing, I believe.
I love it. I love it that you have your dog pegged 8, 7 wing.
Yeah.
Sounds a little non-resourceful in there, but
he's way non-resourceful.
That's awesome. I do have to share this with you, that my favorite comment in the comments so far has been from Jim Cofield, who is Cardi B.
That's perfect.
And then my buddy.
Hey, Jim, let me speak directly. Jim, you're an Enneagram 5. You can do the research. And then you should quote lyrics when you come on Monday, and you will rapture the hearts of all millennials and Gen Zs with that comment and build Crosspoint's ministry to catastrophic heights.
Well, I like that Byron on here. He goes, "Don't Google her," to Jim. That's awesome. This is funny. Oh, Clifton said, "You saying 8 wing 7s are mentally ill?" That's Cliff right there. So gotta be careful.
Not all. Just the dog.
Not all. Hey, Darrin, it's been awesome, man. I love you, brother. I'm so thankful we got to spend some time, and you hung in there with me through the technical difficulties, but we got it online. Why don't you take a minute? Where can people learn from you, get involved with Enneagram stuff, follow you, all that good stuff? Go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, if you're interested in the Enneagram stuff, I'm working with Crosspoint Ministries, and so you can go to their website, and they do all kinds of retreats and all kinds of amazing, that they've really pivoted well to doing a lot of online stuff. We got some awesome stuff coming up. So I would encourage you to do that. And then if you're a ministry leader, the Pastors Collective, we have a podcast, Pastor Greg and I, who's my pastor, my spiritual dad. And what we really try to do is just encourage leaders really around not successes, but failure and how you deal with that. And then we do events related to that. And so those are the 2 ways to connect. And then if my sermons are on YouTube, you want to Google my name. I do a thing called 3-Minute Sermon, which is just what it sounds like. It's 3 minutes. It's a devotional that comes out 3 times a week. You can find it on my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that. Just my name, and you can find me. And if you had questions more, hey, hit me up on Instagram, on the message part of that, and I'd love to answer anything. And just so appreciate you taking time. I know there's a lot of different things you could be doing, but appreciate you listening. Yeah,
man. Well, thanks for being here. It's been really fun. I'm cracking up with these comments now. They're getting rolling now, but we got all these. You got to watch out for these 829 pastors, man.
Oh yeah,
It's in the evening, which means there's probably a good glass of bourbon and a cigar in a guy's hand, and you just got to watch out. But I appreciate all.
You got to send those to me, and I will reply directly.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Darrin, hang on. I'll get us offline here. But, hey, thanks for tuning in. I'll be back Monday at 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time with Jim Cofield on Don't Listen to Me. So thanks for being here. Appreciate you all watching, commenting. Share it. Get the word out. Help me out. Love you all. Bye.